Magic Makers, I am so honored to have Daniel Packard here on the show. When I first booked him for the show, it was like he talks about anxiety, and I was like, oh my God, yes, we have to talk about anxiety. But as I have gone down the rabbit hole, like you know how I like to do, I have unpacked that it is more about the feelings behind anxiety. So it's about the fears, the doubts that cause the anxiety. And that's one of the big reasons why Daniel's system has been able to be so, I'm going to say, monumental in helping people break free of anxiety. He too suffered from crippling anxiety, and through his system, his process, he's been able to be free of the world. And I don't think many of us understand how much anxiety, fears, doubts literally hold onto our leg and keep us stuck living a life that we probably aren't happy with. Probably we are just settling. So I'm just going to shut up right now because I'm saying too much. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thank you, Kim Jefferson, for that wonderful, uplifting intro. I'm always jealous. I'm always appreciative that I have a job where I get an intro like that. Most people, like when they walk into a meeting, no one stops and says, coming to the spreadsheet now is Tanya. Tanya is excellent at Excel. I'm going to shut up and let Tanya take over. So I guess I'm grateful. And also, I'm going to say two things. Just because I always like to be clear about the value. One, it's just very nice to be here with you. I appreciate your heart and spirit, and I can already tell we're besties and we're going to have a great conversation. So what I am aware, and I don't call it cheating. I know your audience is listening to other podcasts. It's not cheating. There's just a lot of podcasts out there, and it's okay. Our arrangement is not exclusive. And there's a lot of people talking about ways to live a happier life, and a lot of people talking about this topic of anxiety and fear and doubt. A lot of people are talking about it. So your audience's time is very valuable. So why listen to me? Aside from my obvious animal sex appeal, which is just bleeding through the Zoom wires. Clearly. Aside from that, aside from the eye candy that is me, why would you listen? Because whether you call it anxiety, fear, doubt, at best, your audience has gone looking for help, and at best has probably only found tips and tools and insights to manage it, at best.
Yep.
At worst, they're just living with it. Now, awareness and tips and tools to manage is certainly better than nothing. If you're in a boat and there's a hole in the boat and the boat is sinking and there's sharks, and someone hands you a bucket and said, look, you can manage the leak.
Yep.
And all day long, you got to sit here and bail. Okay, it's better than drowning and being shark food. I get it. But it's exhausting. You're always bailing the boat and you can't relax or the boat sinks. But also you just can't enjoy and get to where you want to go because your boat is half filled with water and you're just managing it. You're not really living. And so what we spent 8 years developing, and over $1 million in research and development, and I'll explain all that later, is a 6-week system, keyword system, meaning all the tools in one place with all the simple steps there, such that with a 90% success rate, instead of managing the fear, doubt, and anxiety, it's measurably, because we measure it, you measure it as you go through, it's measurably either gone or significantly down permanently so that you're free of it. So That's the value of what we're doing that's special, that as far as I know, we may be the only ones in the world getting the results that we're getting. And the results, again, is not to help you manage it, overcome it, understand it, have awareness, peel back the layers on it. No, it takes years. It's to be free of it quickly so you can be happier, a better business owner, a better mom, better partner, whatever you want to be. The less fear you have, the happier and the better you are. So if you just want to keep managing this stuff, you can stop now and go find another podcast where they're teaching you how to manage this stuff. If you want to be free of it quickly,
keep listening.
That's what I'm going to talk about. But before I do, I have a favor.
Go for it.
Your podcast is called Fit Girl Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that title, it sparked joy in my heart. And I thought, well, I'm not a girl, but I want to be part of Fit Girl Magic. And I'm always a little bit jealous. There's a trend amongst women generally. It's a trend. not everybody, but I've noticed as a male that generally speaking, women have more community and have more positive, uplifting language. If you're a guy, I've been a man for my whole life, not bragging, it's just the way things panned out. I've never, even in magical moments, had a guy use the word magic. At best, we'll get cool. Or perhaps the elusive, really cool. Never magical. And I'm jealous. I'm really jealous that you guys have this language. If you're a dude and you ask your friends, how do I look? You've got not bad, okay, and at best, good.
Yeah.
When a woman walks into the room and asks her friends how she looks, regardless of what she's wearing, her friends will say, you look gorgeous. Doesn't matter. You could have sweatpants on. You are gorgeous and you're a goddess. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's statistically true, but the fact that you call each other goddesses, I'm jealous. And then also, again, I'm making some big sweeping generalizations here. When I lived in Manhattan, I was at a cafe speaking to this woman who became my friend, Jackie, this wonderful Black woman. We hit it off, and I was telling her about my relationship woes, and she turned to me and she said, you know what the problem is? And I said, what? She said, you forgot to wear your crown, king.
Ooh.
And I went, king? You're calling me a king? That feels amazing. When you're a white guy and you hang out with white women, what we get is don't be a predator, don't be an oppressor, and don't be a misogynist. Okay, fine. You can give us feedback on how to be better. But once in a while, could you uplift? She called me a king. And I was like, I am a king, and I'm not wearing my crown. It was so uplifting. So then I started hanging out with her friends. The men are calling women queens. The women are calling men kings. And I was like, this feels good. So I just want to ask you, A, can I be part of Fit Girl Magic? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
And B, if you feel like saying it, it would feel nice to say, welcome to the show, King. If you want to say it, would you say it to me?
King Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Queen Kim. It is a pleasure to be in your royal court.
It's funny because I think you're probably my fourth. I've been doing this show over 200 and something episodes. You're my fourth man to be on the show. And it takes a special man to get on my show. Like I get pitched by men all the time, and I'm like, you gotta bring it. Like you can't just have like some vanilla bio. I'm like, I need you to like bring it to the show.
No, I know that I take pride in, and I know I'm being invited into the Yaya sisterhood. Like I get that. I get it, and I take it as a compliment that I got something that merited entering the red table area. I get it. Thank you.
Well, it's funny as you described anxiety. The thing that I cyber stalked you. The thing that really I loved was that you talked about anxiety being like you can't spray Febreze and expect it to go away. You have to really deep clean it. And what you just described in your system, it's the deep cleaning. It's literally taking the cushions out, getting out the Stanley steamer, and really unpacking what's going on. It's not like, hey, take deep breaths or, breath work or yoga or whatever. You're like, let's truly understand what it is and get rid of it. Like, let's just stop living with it. And I absolutely love that about your system.
Thank you. And it's what we all want. And I appreciate that you're seeing the value in it. And I want to highlight to your audience that the fact that what we do is basically we help people with the Funky Five. And what we call the Funky Five is not a band, although it could be. The Funky Five is anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence. That's the Funky Five. And our system, our program allows you to be free of those in 6 weeks, free, gone, by addressing the root cause and healing it permanently, not understanding it, not avoiding your triggers, not lessening. It's gone. It's gone. Just like if you have a broken bone, you go to the doctor doesn't say, hey, sit down And why don't you come back each week and let's like talk about your broken bone, and let's talk about maybe the fact that when you were a kid, maybe, and let's explore your mindset around no, you go in, you get a cast, there's a mechanism that fuses the bone from 2 pieces to 1 piece, and you're off and running.
Right.
And that exists in the physical world, but it hasn't existed in the emotional world. And it's sad because that's what people want. And I bring this up. The reason it doesn't exist is because I call it the improvement industrial complex. This is therapy, psychology, coaches, and spirituality. It's $1 trillion industry globally. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, for the most part, they're not innovating, right. They're not measuring results, and they're not focused on permanent results. Why? I don't know. You'll have to ask them. Partly, I've been told they're not incentivized to solve because that's not a good business model. With us, you're in, you're out. We don't want to see you in 6 weeks. Right. But also, because we call them experts, your audience goes and trusts these people.
Right.
They're not equipped to solve what you're struggling with, but they kind of claim they are. They'll say, I'll help you, but they're not precise. So what happens? They're not equipped to get you free of it. So you're not free of it. And then we all have this internal monologue that then blames ourselves. There's something wrong with me. Right. I'm broken. Mm-hmm. I'm going crazy. And I'm here to tell your audience, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not going crazy. The experts are incentivized to not solve this. And that's why you're stuck with this, not because there's anything wrong with you. And I'm speaking from experience because I used to think when I had anxiety, procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, and low confidence, I spent all this money, time, and energy, $100,000 working on it. I had some awareness. It was better, but I still felt insecure. I was anxious. I didn't like who I saw in the mirror. I cared what people thought of me. I wasn't fulfilling my potential. And that was after 10 years and $100,000. And I kind of had this, I don't know what you call it, a wake-up moment where I broke out of this fog. And it started with anger.
Yeah.
I looked up at the sky, whoever's up there pulling the strings, and I said, what do you want from me? I know this is a test. I'm supposed to learn something. Pain is to get our attention that something's not working. Then you pass the test and God removes the pain and you get pleasure. That's the reward. God, when you do what God wants, you feel good. Good is 1 letter away from God. When you feel not good, it's because you're out of alignment with God. When you feel good. So I was like, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling God. It's clearly a test, but I've been at this 10 years.
Right.
I'm trying here. Help me out. What am I missing? And I was just being rhetorical. I was just being pissed, but I got an answer back, Kim. I heard. And what I heard was something my dad told me when I was a kid. My dad was a scientist. And I was about 10 years old. And he said, Daniel, anybody can have a theory. Anybody can have an idea of something. That's easy. Right. He said, the person you want to trust that really knows what's going on is the person that gets results.
Yes.
In science, you have a theory, but then you test it and you see who gets results. And results matter. They matter. And I just looked at this $1 trillion industry and I said, they don't get good results. And it doesn't bother them. But people are in pain. They need real results. And this industry isn't getting it, but nobody's innovating. So I was trained as a mechanical engineer. And when you're trained as an engineer, you're trained to problem solve. You're trained to innovate. And it's a whole mindset. It's a certain type of person. And it's a training, how to look at something, breaking it down to do it. It's mechanical pieces. Then you build a prototype. And then what do? You test it. Right. And you collect data and you get results and then you refine it. So when I was in all this pain, I said, I'm an engineer. There's no solution for this stuff, not fast. And I started my own research company, Full Liberation Technology, with the mission to see, could we reverse engineer and innovate to create something that's simple, effective, works for everybody, works quickly, addresses the root cause so that it's gone. And it was way harder than I thought. It sounded good when I said it. We're going to disrupt the mental health industry. And it was so hard. Right. But the beauty of engineers and innovators is we're unrelenting. We focus on something until we get it. Edison did 1,000 light bulbs till he got one.
Right.
That's a certain type of person. Most people give up at like light bulb 30. He went to 1,000. That's what inventors do because that's what it takes to innovate. So for 8 years, I traveled all over the world. I worked with addicts in South Africa. We worked with monks in India. We worked with entrepreneurs in Europe. I worked with professional athletes in the US, working with thousands of people, working on this system, collecting data, building it out, and to make sure that it got results. We were measuring it, and it took us 8 years, but now we have this system that in 6 weeks, if you struggle with one or multiples of the Funky Five, you are free of it. But I want to be clear, the reason we figured it out, and it's really simple, it's nothing fancy, it's not magical. The reason we figured it out is because we cared enough to innovate. And I bring this up, there's nothing special. We just cared enough to focus. And I bring it up because this industry of therapy, psychology, and spirituality, they're not innovating. They're not trying to solve. They're okay with anxiety being on the rise. They're okay that self-harm in young girls is up 150%. They're okay. They're not innovating. And that's why your audience is stuck. And so I want to tell your audience this to wake them up of this fog that maybe don't trust these people quite as much. They call themselves mental health experts. If they were experts, anxiety wouldn't be on the rise. They're not experts.
Right.
So again, be more discerning in who you trust and see if they're getting results, not just does it sound good. Because a lot of stuff sounds good. It's good theory. But also, I'm telling you, this industry does not get great results. It's not your fault if you're listening to this. The experts. So that's part of my mission is to educate your audience, to demand more so they can get better, more effective tools.
You're right. Because it's like, I feel like if if you're someone who knows I feel anxious, the first step for many people is, do you want to go on some type of drug? Like, it's just automatically like, do you want to go on some type of anti-anxiety medication, and then the tools that you've talked about. And as you were, during your anxiety, was, what was that kind of like the first step for you that says, you know what, like, after, as you're getting to that $100,000 mark, like, was there something in your mind that's like, the stuff they're giving to me, like, it's just not really doing it for me?
Well, that's the big blind spot. That's what I'm trying to wake people up to. No, I'm a smart cookie like you. I pay attention. I'm an engineer, man. I'm all about results. If it comes to buying a car, buying a house, hiring a gardener, I'm looking at results and logically using cognitive thinking to see, is this a good fit? But when we get into this world of personal development, psychology, and spirituality, we just check out our critical thinking. And we don't, I would go to the first 5 retreats I went to, the coach, the spiritual teacher, the guru would say something that sounded great. Right. You need to be in your heart more. You need to love yourself more. You need to get out of your head. Your thoughts are false. And I would think, ooh, that's so true. Right. Wow, thank you. And I was grateful. Thousands of dollars. 2 weeks later, no help. And I didn't have a problem with it. If you take your car to a mechanic and you spend 10 grand and your mechanic says, you know what your issue is? Your car is not living its full potential. You wouldn't be like, oh, here's 10 grand. You wouldn't do it. But we pay. And I was in this fog. And then I would go to another retreat. Same results, learning the what, but never getting what we actually need, which is the how. Yeah. What are the simple step-by-step steps to address the root cause? And I'm free of it. And I didn't have a problem with it. And nobody has a problem with it, partly because that's all that's available. Right. So we just tolerate it. It's like an abusive relationship. You think this is all there is, and I deserve it. And I'm trying to tell people this industry, I don't want to call it corrupt, but be highly suspicious of it, because I believe they've conditioned us to tolerate bad results and not have a problem with it. I'll give you an example. I had somebody come to me. This was a month ago. She was a woman. Her name is Caroline. She's from Hawaii. And she said, I've had anxiety my whole life and panic attacks and low confidence. And I said, great. I said, what have you done so far? She said, I have this amazing therapist. Now, I'm not saying her therapist might not have helped her. I'm not saying her therapist doesn't have value. I'm just saying you've spent 7 years with this person. Right. And you still are having panic attacks and anxiety and low confidence. Okay. But you're calling your therapist amazing. There's a disconnect there. Right. And I said, I didn't say anything. It's not my place, but I was like, we overvalue the help that we're getting and we don't have a problem with it. I'm sorry. That's not an amazing therapist. 7 years, you still have panic attacks. So, I don't know how I got it, but I'm so passionate about trying to wake people up. And this isn't just medication. This is the talk therapy, the spirituality, the breath work, even meditation, which has value. It's all symptom management. It doesn't get you free of it. People say, I had this client who came to me and she said, meditation and yoga saved my life. And I get what she means. Meditation is valuable and helpful, but results matter. I said, what happens if you stop meditating, stop doing yoga? She says, I become a chain-smoking neurotic and I'm suicidal. And I just went, okay, well,
keep it up.
That's not the problem. The problem is she loved meditation, not realizing at best, you haven't healed the root cause. So I bring this up to break people out of this fog because I'm a pretty smart person and I was for 10 years just did not have awareness it was a problem. There's a real results issue. It's not just a medication. Talk therapy, spirituality, the videos, the apps. It's a whole lot of what, as in what's the problem? They tell you what the problem is, which is sort of interesting. You gain awareness. They never give you the how.
Yeah.
How do I actually be free of this quickly? And that's what people need because that's what gets you results. Make sense? What do you think?
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
No, I 100%, because it's like I do weight loss and I can give you all the platitudes about why you need to lose weight and all of that. And you're right. Like I go to retreat and give you all the platitudes and you're like, yeah, I just need to sleep. And then it's like, okay, but I still can't, but I'm still not putting the food in my mouth and, all the pieces. And so you're right that they will give you the tools, but it's like, how do I string it all together so that eventually I no longer need every single tool in the box. I can only, I pull them out as needed versus like, I have to do the tools every single day in order for me to function.
Well, two things, but even in your language is baked into the blind spot. You said, what can I do to function? That's the bar right now, is to lower the pain enough that I can function. I get it. What's available on the market at best will give you a toolkit to function.
Right.
But you want more than, you don't want to function. You want to thrive. So when we figured out the root cause, here's the root cause. The root cause of all of it, and it's really simple. I'm an engineer. Let's make things simple and doable. Physical fitness is pretty simple. There's complexity and nuance to it, but let's be honest. Calorie take, exercise, it's like 99% of it. It's simple, it's doable. When you go to a gym, it ain't complicated. It's not like, you know what? Meditate for 4 hours and connect your ninth chakra to the divine. You go to a gym and they say, you see that heavy thing? Lift that thing over and over again. That's it. It's really simple.
Right.
And when we developed this, we looked at fitness and we said, look at the results they get. You may not go to the gym, you may not watch your diet, but if you watch your calories and exercise, there's a mechanism in the body that burns the fat and you breathe it out. You don't have to become enlightened, aware. You just work this. And so we said, could we build inner fitness? So our whole program is built like an inner gym. We call it daily cardio because you're taking care of yourself. And what we saw is the root cause of all of these things. This was the big innovation, a couple big innovations. First of all, your audience, whether they have anxiety, procrastination, people-pleasing, perfectionism, or low confidence, whatever you call it, you don't have multiple problems. It feels that way.
Right.
They are not problems, and they're not different problems. They are all symptoms of one thing: fear.
Yeah.
You don't have anxiety. You feel really afraid. And when the fear level gets high enough, you call that high level fear anxiety. But that's a fancy word. Let's just call it what is it? You're afraid. Mm-hmm. You don't have procrastination. You are not a procrastinator. You are afraid to start or finish something. It's fear. You are not a perfectionist. You didn't catch it on the train. Okay? You have a fear of making a mistake or being imperfect.
Yes.
You are not a people pleaser. Again, this is not your identity. You're afraid that people won't like you or judge you. And in that fear, you try to get everyone to like you and be pleased with you. It's fear. Yeah. And then finally, low confidence. You don't have low confidence. Even that word, you have it, means like you caught it during COVID. You don't have low confidence. Right. You are afraid to be your true, authentic self.
Right.
So just first, if we want to clean all that up, the experts are making $1 trillion a year chasing down and trying to help you with symptoms, but you can't get rid of a symptom ever. Nobody can. Yeah. That's why your perfectionism hasn't gone away. Your procrastination hasn't gone away. Your low confidence is still there. Your anxiety is still there. And the people pleasing is still there, because those are just symptoms of the root cause, which is fear. So you don't have all these things. You're afraid. I'll explain to you why you're afraid in a bit. But first, can you see that it's much simpler? We just have a lot of people who are afraid. They don't have these things, but they're just afraid, and they experience symptoms and coping mechanisms of fear. Can you see that?
Completely see that. You know, when you first kind of listed your like funky five, and I, think of the three things that I regularly see in my women who struggle to lose weight was the perfectionism. Like if I can't hit all the things on the list, I might as well not do them at all. Or the people pleasing. Well, my family, I can't go to the gym because I got to cart my kids all around the house and this. And so and the procrastination of, waiting for the perfect time and waiting for this and waiting for that. So I see all of that. And as you kind of unpack it, it's fear, right? It's fear of what would happen if I did, what would happen if I didn't, and all the what if, bubbles that might be, popping up all around your head. So, while people who are, this deep into the show might not be like, I don't have anxiety. When you rattled off those, those five, I'm sure people are like, oh, that's anxiety. That's how it could manifest, versus I think most people will think panic attack when you think anxiety, right? You don't think about the racing thoughts or anything like that. It's something more serious than and we talked about this before we hit record, kind of like that white noise that we allow in our minds that we think.
Yeah. When I say these things, people always say, well, how we have a system. And again, keyword system. And the value of the system is you have all the tools in one place.
Right.
Not you spending a lifetime getting one tool here, one tool there. That's fine for management. An individual tool can help you manage it. But any good system, a gardener, a mechanic, a doctor, a dentist, a system has all the tools you need in one place for one job.
Yep.
So you can collect more tools over the years, but you don't want more tools. You want an optimized toolkit that gets the job done. If you hire someone to rebuild your house and they have one hammer and they're like, I got a hammer, I have one tool. It's a really good tool. It is a good tool. A hammer is great for nails, but do you trust that person to completely rebuild your house if they have one tool?
Right.
No, you don't. So one of the blind spots is when someone says, oh, I've got these amazing tools. They're not amazing because tools at best will only manage. What you need is all the tools in one place that you don't have to spend 15 years. I was working with I was on a very popular trauma podcast. And he had gotten his anxiety and trauma down pretty low. Now I showed him our toolkit and he said, oh my God, this is profound. This is way simpler. This is what people need. And I said, I got my anxiety pretty much gone and my trauma gone. And he said, I now have a toolkit. And I said, great. How long did that take you? He said, about 15 years.
Yeah. So,
and it still wasn't gone. He saw that our toolkit was even more complete, but more importantly, 6 weeks, because it's all in there. But also, and I'm doing this to educate your audience so they can pay more attention. Even if you have all the tools to get something done, that's not enough to solve anything or get great results. If you have a friend, let's say, what's one of your favorite meals, Kim? What's your favorite dessert?
My favorite,
or a dessert you like?
Creme brulee.
Okay. So let's say you have a friend that tastes creme brulee, which by the way is delicious, and comes to you and says, I want to make creme brulee. And I went out, I got all the ingredients. I got an oven, I got a bowl, I got a spoon, I got everything. But nobody taught them how to bake. Even if that person has everything they need, can they make a consistent creme brulee?
Probably not.
Why not? What's missing?
The recipe,
Yeah.
You need an initial recipe, and from there you can tweaks to your particular preferences, but you definitely need that like initial do this first.
Do this first. Otherwise, if you don't know, do you just throw the egg in the oven? Do you take the sugar and put it on your head? What temperature? In what order? It's a sequence. Any system, you're in physical fitness. There's an order to things.
Right.
So you need all the tools, but there's an order and a sequence to getting consistent results. And if it's out of order, it affects everything. But when I went looking for help from the teachers, the gurus, the therapists, not only did they only hand me one tool at a time, no instructions. Right. What do I do? When? For how long? In what order? So I would try, I'd fail, beat myself up because it's my fault. So the 8 years that we spent testing with addicts daily in South Africa to see, I was working with the national government with the mental health and addiction response, and we were testing and made sure it was simple, but all the tools. But in our 6-week program, it's everything. What do you do on what day? In what order? For how long? Just like physical fitness, how many reps? Right. For how long? So the reason your audience is still stuck here is because partly they weren't given all the tools and they weren't given proper instructions. That's why you failed, not because you're broken. So I want to let them know why what we've done is so effective. It's nothing magical. It's just what works. All the tools in one place, simple, easy to follow instructions so you can't fail. Now, here's how good what we have are, because nobody believes us that after you've had this stuff for so long, Kim, it starts to feel like it's unsolvable. Or if it is solvable, it's got to be complicated. Mm-hmm. And people say, Daniel, this sounds good, but I'm really skeptical. And I say, you should be skeptical. Nothing does this. Nothing solves this stuff in 6 weeks. And there's a lot of things in this industry that overpromises, underdelivers. So you should be skeptical. Sure. But my dad told me results matter. And they do. When people work with us, you don't pay at the beginning. You don't pay at the beginning because we haven't helped you. We haven't gotten you a result. As you go through the program, you're measuring whatever Funky 5 you're working on. You're measuring it, and you're self-reporting through our app, your data. And at the end, you have real clear data, just like physical fitness. You have clear data that you are either free of it or it's significantly gone in 6 weeks. And when that data comes in, that's when people pay us. And we do that for 2 reasons. One is that's how we're able to help people, because they're too skeptical, and this is innovative. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, Daniel, this sounds good, but I've heard shiny language before. Yeah. We're the only company, and there's 1 million therapists and coaches on this planet, 1 million. Not a single one lets you pay at the end when you get measurable results. Nobody. We're the only one, and it's because we get results. And I want to say that because I understand if your audience doesn't fully trust me. But I want you to know, ask yourself, the only way we can back up our results is because we're getting results. And I'm doing that to give your audience hope that you can be skeptical and try this for yourself.
Yeah, no, and that's true, because sometimes you feel like you've kissed so many frogs, and you've, like you said, you've thrown so much money at this, and you still are feeling like you're either in the same place or maybe 1 step or 2 steps ahead of where you were. But the fact that you're saying to anyone who joined your system, do the work, show the math, do the work, and you are going to pay at the end, because you finally feel the results you've been seeking for God knows how long.
Yeah. Think about now, that's incredible. It proves to people that I'm not just shiny language, because there's a lot of people out there overpromising and delivering, and your audience has been hurt, they've been tricked, and they've been let down. And we don't want to be part of that anymore. Now, we have a 90% success rate in 6 weeks, which is incredible. But in the small chance that we can't help you, we're not taking your money. And about once a year, we don't help a person really feel better. It's pretty rare. I reach out to them and I say, I am sorry.
Right.
You trusted me. We're doing the best we can. You trusted me. And our program, we're not quite up to 100%. And I'm sorry, I take responsibility for it. This is not your fault. This is mine. So that nobody blames themselves. But also, part of the 8 years was to make it so simple that nobody can fail, because we don't want people to feel more broken. We're here to make you feel better. Now, I want to explain to you how we lower the fear. A, because that's what everybody wants to know. You don't need me to tell you that fear is ruining your life. Or,
Right.
I mean, yes, it simplifies things, but your audience isn't sitting there going, what? Daniel, I have fear? Thank you, wise guru. No, your audience already knows this. The question is how do we basically heal the fear out of you consistently in 6 weeks? Would you like to know that?
Sure. Tell me more.
That's the $1 million question. Okay, reason number one. We're engineers, okay? So we're looking for results and what works. Here's what doesn't work. What doesn't work is what's currently on the market. What's on the market is that we're told that fear is a problem of the mind. We're told, stop your negative thinking, change the thoughts in your head, change your mindset. Here's some medication to target your brain. It's called mental health. It's got the word mental right in there. And whether it's spirituality, psychology, or coach, the primary approach is this is an issue of the mind. Now, the mind is an issue. It can be critical. It could be mean. I had thoughts that used to tell me not only was I ugly and unlovable, but unlovably ugly. You know how mean that is?
Yep.
And that tape ran on repeat. That ain't nice. It's a problem. The question is that the cause? Now, if you don't study this like we did, it looks like it's the cause. You have this critical, scary mind. You feel self-doubt and scared. It looks like it's the mind. There's just one incy-wincy problem with that, is that mind theory doesn't solve anything. You can change your mindset. It just goes back to negative. You can temporarily quiet your thoughts. They just come back.
Right.
So the mind theory manages it. You can temporarily quiet your mind and change your mindset temporarily.
Right.
But is it permanent or is it temporary?
Temporary.
Right. Now, you know that if you work with somebody in the physical body, if something keeps coming back, you're not at the root cause. You're on a symptom. So your fear, your negative mindset, your doubt, your anxiety is not a problem of the mind. It's a symptom of where fear originates, keyword where it starts,
right,
which is the body. Fear starts in the body. Then, because our mind and body are connected, it travels to the mind secondarily. Then your mind gets a hold and starts saying negative things that keep you scared. But in science, there's this theory called causation versus correlation. Just because something is correlated doesn't mean it's the cause. So we are mechanically wired. This is just mechanics. Your body senses what the body needs to stay alive.
Right.
You feel hunger in the body first. Your mind senses the hunger, and then your mind figures out where to go eat. Agreed? Okay, so let's say we're just, smart animals. We're wired to stay alive. So if we're in the jungle and you hear a sound in the bushes, you will feel fear in the body first. Then your mind thinks there's a threat and goes into problem-solving mode and starts to figure out the problem and get you to safety. But it's body first, mind second. Have you ever noticed that when you feel calmer in your body, usually your mind tends to notice more good things and positive thoughts? Have you noticed that? And have you noticed when your body feels, keyword feels, more anxious in the body, then your mind tends to follow and starts to notice all the problems?
Right. And you start to spiral.
Yeah. So what's the cause and what's the symptom? Is the mind the cause or is the body the cause? Just based on what I just described. What do you think?
It's the body.
Yeah. It's really simple. Nobody says, I think anxious. I feel anxious. You feel it in your throat, your chest, your heart, stomach. But also we're wired this way. Body first, mind second. That's not the issue. The issue is the experts called it mental health.
Right.
You're wrong. It's not mental health. It's body health that spreads to the mind. So you're not experts. You've sent people literally to the wrong place. The symptom.
Right.
And so everybody's confused, chasing symptoms. The reason the anxiety doesn't go away is because the expert sent you to the wrong place. You never stood a chance. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. The experts had an incomplete model of understanding. You never stood a chance.
Right.
Fear originates in the body. And because nobody ever told you that, you've been trying to solve it at the mind level, and it's impossible. And this isn't theory, Kim. This isn't theory. When we were developing this system, I was one of the first people to go through. And about 3 years into our testing with our toolkit, just focus on the body, I woke up, this is about 6 years ago, and I felt calm, a deep calm. And at first I thought, well, okay, it's temporary. There's no way this is permanent. I haven't felt calm since I was a kid. It was permanent. I have not only felt calm for the last 5-6 years, permanent. I don't meditate. I don't change my mindset. My thoughts are nice to me. I looked in the mirror this morning and I went from, I used to tell myself I'm unlovably ugly. I looked in the mirror this morning and I was like, you got the goods. I do me. I have nice thoughts, not because I work on my mindset, but because now that my body is calm, my mind is calm.
Right.
So I want to explain that, to be clear. Inner mechanics lesson number 1, fear is not a problem of the mind, it's a problem of the body. Now, I'll explain to you why the body is afraid, but first, do you have any thoughts or questions, or what's your perspective?
No, I like that because you're right. It's like, you never say I have butterflies in my brain. You're like, I have butterflies in my stomach, right? And like, if you're having kind of one of those like feary type, anxiousy type moments, there's a lot of energy like moving throughout your body, which then your brain is logically wants to say, well, what's going on? So it starts like asking questions, and then questions sometimes turn into like thoughts and theories, and there's no logic. It's all just like mumbo jumbo because you're trying to figure out what's happening in the body.
Exactly. There was a time when there was a physical threat and your mind tried to figure out the threat and solve it. Now the threat, and I'll explain to you why our body feels fear, but there's no more tigers anymore. But your body is old, has old antiquated software, feels fear, thinks there's a threat, and then goes looking for problems to explain it, including you're the problem. You suck. Don't do this. But also when you're afraid, nobody likes to feel fear.
Right.
We are wired to avoid fear. So your mind doesn't want you to feel fear. It wants you to stay in your comfort zone. The best way to get you to talk yourself to stay in your comfort zone is to make you doubt yourself. You can't do this. There's something wrong with this. It better be perfect. What about what other things? You will use your own protective mechanism to talk you into your comfort zone. They'll call that negative self-talk and a negative mindset. But again, it's a symptom of fear trying to talk you into not doing it so you stay in your comfort zone. But can you see it's all still just a symptom of fear in the body?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're right. No one ever really describes anxiety body first. Like it's always mind first. And it's what you hit the nail on the head when you use the analogy of hunger. I don't feel hunger in my brain. I feel hunger in my stomach. And then the signal goes up to my brain. Hey, I know what the signal is. It's hunger. Where fear, self-doubt, perfectionism doesn't have this like one-to-one feeling. It's like, this is weird. And then your brain just starts making shit up just to like understand what's going up and down the nervous system.
It's exactly right. And when I say it, anybody with any level of intelligence, you have a high level of intelligence, but anybody, this is simple. This isn't fancy. It's pretty clear. But we look at how confused we've let the experts look. I just say, hey, look, doesn't this make more sense? And people go, oh, yeah, it does. It's in the body. But look at the trillions of dollars spent on mental health, and we call them experts. They're asleep at the wheel, and we're letting them be asleep at the wheel. Okay, if you had hunger in your belly, and now you're focusing on that you're hungry, and you went to someone and said, wow, I've been focusing on chicken, and someone said, you have a negative mindset. You have a story in your head that tells you from childhood, this is your past chicken trauma. It's like, no, it's not. you're hungry, and you're focusing on chicken. And you wouldn't go to an 8-day retreat to change the story in your head. Nobody would fall for that. But these experts rope us in with this narrative, and we're like, oh, it's a story I tell myself. It's not.
Right.
It's your mind understandably, mechanically reacting to your body. You don't need a retreat. You just need to eat some chicken.
No, you're absolutely, and as you're saying this, I hear of like, other things that people have said to me, like, you need to change your mindset. And it's like, that's great. And as you mentioned, like, but give me the how. Like, I recognize that I do tell my brain is telling me all sorts of stuff all the time, but it's like, how do you shift that? Like, how do I shift it? And it's, if your body is going crazy, your mind's always going to try to figure out, how do I work with my body? That's just like how we're humanity. That's how we're built. The brain is like, I need to protect the body, because if I don't have a body, I don't have a brain. And so it's like, how do I protect you? So I tell you a story, right? And if I've been telling myself the same story for decades, or someone told me, when you feel this in your body, this is what it is, I'm just going to always go to my default programming.
You get it. And when the experts tell you, oh, the fear in your thoughts, it's your childhood, it's social media, it's conditioning. I mean, that's not helping, but that's not explaining. And also the whole thing with mindset, I don't want to dismiss the value of having a better mindset. It's managing the symptom. But look, if you have a negative mindset and you can pay attention to your mindset, there's value in it. I'm not dismissing it. The problem is the coaches make millions. Change your mindset. I mean, doesn't that just sound cool, Kim? Ooh, I'll change my mindset from negative to positive. Just one little itsy bitsy wincy issue. They don't tell you, how did you end up with a negative mindset to begin with?
Right.
They just say, change your mindset. But if you want to solve this, you'd be like, well, wait a minute. If somebody walked up to you and said, you need to stop having the sniffles, you need to change your sniffle mindset. It's like, well, no, because the sniffles is a symptom of having a cold. I need to address the root cause.
Right.
So they tell you change these things without any true understanding of where it's coming from, because kids have a really great mindset. You'll never see a 4-year-old at an Awaken the Giant from Within conference with Tony Robbins. Kids are confident, open-hearted. You ask a 4-year-old, what do you want to be? They say, I want to be an astronaut, pilot, actor, president, unicorn breeder. You go, little Timmy. They have it all. So if we're problem solving, we got to look at, you don't need to build anything, change it. Why did it go missing to begin with? Heal that, and then the symptom is gone. So again, look at what's being sold and look at how suspect it is, and look at how we don't question it, because it all just sounds so good.
Right.
But it doesn't, it's not effective, because it's not designed to solve anything. So the question then becomes, where's the fear coming from in the body?
Right. And
it's really simple.
Yeah. And as
Go ahead.
And as you're saying this, I think about, the parallels to the diet industry. It's not about, no one talks about, well, why are you eating? It's more about, go to diet X, go to diet Y, stop eating this, stop eating that, versus what you're saying is that, okay, you're eating, we can't not eat, like we'll die if we don't eat. But what is the why? What's the how to eat? Like, we only teach you what not to eat, but we don't tell you, here are the foods that if you ate this for the rest of your life, you probably would never have a diet problem. And that's what your system is like, hey, if we start to understand what's going on in here, this part becomes easy. Like, there is no like toolbox for you when we're starting to really get in touch with mind and body together. So
exactly. What we discovered is really simple, and it's based in basic principles that apply to everything. And because we're in the body's much easier to understand, because the body is mechanical and has systems. You work in physical fitness. You understand it's a system, and there's real rules, and there's one universal rule that we need to follow for the body, but anything that needs to be taken care of. So God gives us all this really wonderful stuff for free. One of the things he gives us is a body. Mm-hmm. For free. Do you know how expensive it would be to develop and buy a body?
Oh,
on
yeah.
Amazon? Like just the eyeballs alone would be trillions of dollars to develop an eyeball. We get two and they work together for free. God
Even
gives
on
us
Prime
eyeballs.
Day? Could I get a special on Prime Day?
It's discounted. So you get two eyeballs for one, but they're still very expensive. I appreciate it. A tongue is incredible. It's just right now, it's just working away. I don't need to. So God gives us this gift of a body, and he gives us a gift of a planet. He gives us the gift of nature, the gift of love, the gift of relationships. The best things in the world are free. But there's one condition that God says, when I give you these things, do you know what the condition is?
No, what's the condition?
You got to take care of it.
Yeah. And when you say that, there's a book, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, is that the body keeps score. And so for all of the ways that we kind of find a way to beat the shit out of our bodies, what you just described is that like we're supposed to take care of it. And it's not until, the nth hour that, the doctor tells you, because you've done all these things, you're no longer able to do things. We start to get that fear of like, oh, I got to start taking care of myself, versus it's easier to deal with it now when I don't have a litany of medical problems to start taking care of my body and my mind right now.
Yeah, we understand it. Pain. God knows we don't listen early on. He'll wait and wait and wait. And then as an act of love, he uses pain and takes away pleasure as a way to get our attention, to motivate us to take care of ourselves. If you don't take care of a relationship, there's going to be pain. If you don't take care of a child, there's pain. You don't take care of a goldfish, a dog, a pet, a planet, your physical body. God says you're not taking care of it. And this, I'm holding you accountable.
Right.
It makes sense, but no one ever thought, oh, I'm feeling emotional pain. Maybe this is because I haven't been taking good care of myself. That was our big breakthrough, is we found the system in the body creating the fear. Again, this is simple. It's not complicated. It's just the experts were asleep at the wheel. So I'm saying the root cause of everything that's causing most of the problems are different symptoms and coping mechanisms of fear. At the very least, if you're afraid, you can't be a confident, open-hearted, you can't live at full potential. You can't be the best parent, wife, human, leader. Fear slows or stops you. Universal.
Right.
So wouldn't it be nice to just figure out where the fear is coming from and solve it? Right now, you've got overcome the fear, face the fear, reframe the fear. I'm like, yeah, but it's still there. So we just went, engineers said, where's this fear coming from in the body? It's really simple. Okay? There's another word for fear. It's called nervous. What system in the body, if you had to guess and just you wanted to keep things simple, what system in the body do you think is most likely malfunctioning and making everybody extra nervous? The capillary system, the endocrine system, or the nervous system?
The nervous system.
Why would you say that?
Because it's called the nervous system.
You're damn right. It's right there in the mother effing name. We know systems in the body can malfunction. There's a system in the body called the nervous system. The whole planet is seeing different forms of nervousness. And the experts were like, you know what? Let's go to the mind. And after 100 years of anxiety on the rise, let's just keep going to the mind. No, come on, wake up. Nervous system. People are nervous. Go there. And that's what we did. Your nervous system is your body's natural threat response system. If your nervous system is healthy, you don't feel under attack and you feel safe.
Right.
If, however, you are not taking care of your nervous system because you were never taught how, your nervous system, just like any system in the body, will start to malfunction. If you don't take care of the systems, your teeth, your sleep, your diet, systems will start to malfunction. You were never taught, hey, every morning, here's the basic daily hygiene of how to take care of your nervous system and your feelings. You were never taught it. If you were never taught it, you can't take care of it. If you were never taught to brush and floss, you will end up with a root canal. If you were never taught a good diet, you will end up overweight. It's just mechanically the end result. So nobody was ever taught you how to take care of our feelings and emotions. Also, when people treated us poorly, we got an unconditioned unconscious belief that we don't deserve to, that our feelings matter and that we deserve to be a priority and take care of my inner world. So we're conditioned, but also not taught. Then your nervous system over time malfunctions, and then a malfunctioning nervous system, you feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, it creates a feeling called fear. When the fear shows up, the symptoms of the fear, the anxiety, the people-pleasing, the procrastination, the perfectionism, the low self-confidence, the overthinking, the ADHD, the OCD. We're working with a gentleman right now who thought he had Parkinson's. Turns out he just had a blown-out nervous system. So what we've developed, we saw that the nervous system is malfunctioning, and that is in the body, and it hasn't been taken care of, and it's malfunctioning, and that is what is creating the fear. Not because you're broken. It's not a story. You didn't take care of that system, and this is the result. This is how God works. If you don't take care of it, I'm going to send you a message to take care of it. We know this about the physical body, just nobody ever thought to apply it to the nervous system. So first of all, I'll explain to you what we're doing, and in a little exercise, I'll prove to you what we're doing. Because sometimes people say, well, my nervous system is scared because when I was a childhood, that's what we're told. You have the trauma of childhood. You were scared to death then. You're scared to death now. Now, if you don't study this like we do, it sounds like it could be true. Right? You're scared as a kid and you're scared now. And I had a therapist that said, well, look at your childhood. And I went, oh, you're right. But again, that doesn't get great results. But also, it's not true. If, let's just say as a child, your parents fed you unhealthy food. And let's say because they fed you unhealthy food, you gained weight. Okay. If 40 years later, you're gaining more weight, is that what happened in childhood? Or is that the daily dietary choices that you make up and do every day? Which is it?
Choices. Your daily choices.
Yeah. You learn some habits as a child. Fine. You can hold them accountable. It didn't help. But your physical health is a direct result of the daily choices that you make to yourself. It's not the past. It's what you are doing to yourself every day, because nobody ever taught you how to do it. If you need a root canal, I don't care what your parents did to you, that's not their fault. You're not brushing your teeth. So it's not your past. I thought that. It's not that, because guess what? I now feel completely calm. And I did it without a DeLorean. I did not travel in time and change my past. I didn't understand my past. I learned that every day I was neglecting my nervous system, me to me, every day, 10 to 30 times a day. The average person neglects their nervous system. So over time, it's now in a state of disrepair. It's you to you every day. If you have weight gain, you can't blame your parents. If you're not as strong as you want to be, you can't blame your parents. Well, if you're not if you're not emotionally strong, and trust me, now I can't blame my parents. It's bittersweet because it's so much fun to blame your parents and society and social media.
It's easy to be like, it's them, it's not me. And, you can kind of now move on. You're like, it's not my problem. It's someone else's problem. And it's really easy to do that.
And we're told that. I heard a mental health professional say anxiety is on the rise amongst teens because of social media. I was like, really? Interesting how you're not taking responsibility for those poor results. We had a mom who came to us with anxiety and perfectionism. And she said, I know I'm passing this on to my kid. I learned it from my mom, and I know I'm passing it. My kid is anxious and insecure, and it's heartbreaking. And I said, I know, because you learned poor habits from your parents that you don't even know you're doing, and you're passing them on to your child. And I said, I'm going to show you daily inner nervous system emotional hygiene so you take care of you every day. Not only will you feel safe at the end of the 6 weeks, and when you feel safe, the anxiety and the perfectionism go away. But it's basic habits. Your child will start to model your behavior. And I've seen it in clients. Your child will start to feel calmer and more confident, because that's what a person who feels safe does. She said, I mean, you can help me feel safe? I said, yeah. And then my kid will I said, I know you don't believe me. But she said, well, I don't believe you, but I met somebody at a conference who did your program. And they swore by it. And it's worth a shot, right? No risk to try. So she went through, and I talked to her, and she said, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. She said, first of all, I felt a feeling I haven't felt in decades. I feel safe.
Right.
From the inside out. And it's not temporary. It's permanent. Right. I can feel that. So I'm more loving. I'm more confident. I'm the person, the woman, the mother, the wife I want to be. My business is doing better. But also, she said, what I really want to thank you is my teen, who lately has been terrified of bullying, came home from school yesterday. And my teen turned to me and said, hey, I got bullied today. But I didn't like it, but it didn't bother me that much. And the woman, our client, said, what the heck happened? I said, well, did you ask? And you're a teen? She said, yeah. She said, well, I've been watching what you've been doing, and I've been doing it. And so I just feel calmer inside. So when I got bullied, I didn't like it, but I felt safe inside, so it just didn't affect me as much. And she said, thank you. Thank you for giving me the gift of feeling calm and confident. But now I have a calm and confident child. Like, what's better than that?
Right. So, you've talked a lot about your system, and right now I'm all in. I'm like, I believe. If this was like a Bible revival, I would be like, pulling out my credit card right now. So is it a program that I go through myself? Is it like group led? Like, how does the system work?
Thanks for asking. I'm going to respond very briefly because your audience wants to know the basics. But I always tell people, no matter what I explain to you, you'll never know for sure that this will work or not. Even if you're all in, you'll have doubt, you'll have skepticism. Also, people have a fear of letting their stuff go. Also, people have this built-in unconscious belief that they're too broken to be healed. And they'll think, well, maybe it works for other people, it won't work for me. It will, but I get that. So I always tell people, the main thing you should focus on, don't even worry about the how. You don't care about the how. When you get into a plane, you don't care how it works. You just care that it gets you a good result. So I always tell people, I'll tell you the how, because like, why not? But you shouldn't be focused on it. You should be focused on the fact that we measure results, and we're the only company in the world that lets you pay at the end when you get the results. That's the most important thing. The how is like, if we made you pay $100,000 up front, yeah, fine, find out how. But we don't. The best how is to do the program. So I just want to be clear on that. You don't need to know how. But that said, it's 6 weeks. It's all online. It's all automated because we wanted to make a big impact. And if people had to come to me, then it would make it more expensive and we couldn't scale it up and help millions. So it's all online. It's 6 weeks. There's 4 modules, and each module is very intentionally a stage, just like in physical fitness. There's an order to things. So the program is 4 modules. Each module is about 10 days, and it's laid out in a very specific sequence where you start off easier, build some skill and some capacity, build some strength, and then, so it's doable. You can't fail at this. That's what all the testing is. 4 modules. Each module is the identical structure because, again, we want to make it simple. You watch a 2-hour video with yours truly. It's very insightful, and if I may say so, very entertaining, and it teaches you the theory. It teaches you the theory that you're going to be working on, why this works. But that's just the theory. Theory doesn't get results. You need the actual how. So then you have a tool that is customized and built to apply the theory that you learn. And it's a very simple, easy to follow tool that's customized. And you apply that tool approximately 4 to 6 times a day for about 3 to 5 minutes. You apply the tool when the feeling of fear or the behavior, such as procrastination, when it is up, you apply the tool. And what you do as you're doing that is you're bringing your nervous system back to help through the reps and the repetition and the daily cardio. Gotcha. Anything in physical fitness is based in repetition, that if you do the healthy thing enough times, you get a result. Right. It's really simple. So you do reps with the tools when it's present, and each time you do it, you're bringing your nervous system back to health by taking care of it. Your nervous system comes back to health. And when you have a healthy nervous system, you get to feel a feeling that very few people get to feel and gives you access to the life you want to live. And that feeling, I've mentioned it before, is safe.
Yeah. It's funny that
you can go and do a retreat on your unlocking your potential, being the best you, vision board. You can do all that. But let me ask you, if you could do all that, increase your confidence, change your mindset, or I said to you, you could wake up every morning and your default is that you felt safe from within and the fear lifted. Would you take all that fancy, cool sounding stuff, or would you take up waking up each morning just feeling safe from within? Which would you pick?
The safe. And as
why is that better?
It's funny because, why do we have a nervous system? Our nervous system was built to have us be able to sense safety, to be able to sense if a saber-toothed tiger was coming, have the systems to help us get the hell out of there. And
that's true. But if you don't feel safe, fear shows up and all the symptoms are going to show up.
Right. But also when I don't feel safe, all of my other systems just shut down because my whole body is like, we need to preserve the basics, keep you alive. And everything else that I want, especially women, as you said, safety. I'm like, you know what? How many women tell me that they don't feel safe in the, could be safe in their relationship, safe because other things are happening and around them. And if I'm not feeling safe, I don't feel safe to release the weight. And you never think that it's not because you had carbs, it's not because you had gluten, it's because your nervous system is like, we can't settle down right now. And we can't think about doing anything else besides helping you stay alert and aware to protect you from whatever the perceived fear that we have out there in the world.
You get it. We are wired for safety. If you do not feel safe, that is what gets your priority, and everything else is secondary, including, but if you are unsafe, what do? You shut down, you close your heart, you lock off your potential because you're protecting. You can't protect and be open-hearted. You can't feel unsafe and be fully confident. So you can go around and work on your confidence, but you don't have a confidence issue. You feel safe and you're understandably in lockdown because that's how we're wired. So this is so simple, but if you don't address the safety issue at best, Kim, you're managing these symptoms, but it's exhausting. It's exhausting managing the fear, avoiding it's because you're doing it all the time. Plus, you don't feel safe inside deep down, and that's tiring. It's exhausting being afraid all the time. You're only supposed to feel fight or flight for like 15 seconds. Tiger pops up, run like hell, and then chill out. That's what the gazelles do. It's 15 seconds, and then they're relaxing, and the little ears are twiggling. You don't see a gazelle afraid running 18 hours a day.
Yeah, running for 4 years.
No. So I had a client who came to me. Her business was struggling. She wasn't being the mom as loving as she wanted to be. She wasn't being the wife she wanted to be. She wasn't being the leader she wanted to be. She knew it. And I said, I get it. I love that you want to be better. And I said, can you see that if you're scared at all, you can't be as loving as you want? She said, of course. I said, can you see if you're scared, it's harder to be patient and nurturing? Can you see? She said, of course. So she went through our program and she said, oh my God, once you feel safe, the natural loving nurturer just comes out. It's innate.
Yeah.
My kids, she said, I've had issues with my teenager, but I've been in my masculine. I've been trying to problem solve because I was disconnected from my nurturing self because I was scared. It wasn't cultivated. She said, I feel safer now. My heart is more open. I'm naturally empathetic. I'm more considerate. I'm more patient. She said, I just had the best conversation with my teenager in 4 years. I'm closer to my husband than ever. Our sex life is back and we're getting along better than ever. We don't counsel you in marriage or parenting. We don't have to. When you don't feel afraid, your your heart opens up, you can feel more, and you become the woman you want to be. And best part is it's permanent. And this is the world we need. We don't need more females. We need more women with naturally open, nurturing hearts, but you don't have consistent access to that if you're terrified. So we get people in with procrastination, people pleasing, like, because that's the pain. That's what gets people in the door. I am trying to heal people at the deep level so they can feel safe. When you are safe, you're the person you want to be. You treat people the way you want to treat them. And in the same way that hurt people, healed people, heal people. That is my mission. And because the program is simple and scalable, if we can get this out to the world, we can help millions. And this should be taught in schools. They teach you to brush and floss. They teach you the food pyramid. They teach you exercise. Nobody teaches basic daily hygiene of your nervous system. And we need to get this into schools. So if you're out there and you have an organization, a church, and you see your community, your company, the people that you steward seeing symptoms of fear, you can't pray that away.
No.
God needs you to take care of yourself. And what we have is scalable and measurable. That's why the South African government is working with us. So if you have a community, a company, a family, what we have is effective, simple, and scalable.
Right.
And we can help millions. But right now, because it's innovative, people think it's too good to be true. So if you're listening to this podcast, what we have stumbled upon is what God wants.
Yeah.
God wants you to take care of all parts of you, including your feelings and emotions and nervous system, which you were never taught. It's not your fault, but there's still a tax you pay, and it's a fear tax.
Right.
So to get this out to the world, when things are too simple, people are highly skeptical.
Absolutely.
But if you're listening to this, God is looking out for you, because what we're doing is incredible. I hope 30 years from now, this is just common knowledge. Right now, nobody knows about us. If you're hearing this, God is looking out for you, and he wants you to hear this, and don't take it lightly.
Yeah. I as you wrap this up, I really love everything you said. And you said, this is about fear and doubt, but I feel like we can push that envelope further, feeling safe, right? Who here listening says, I want to feel unsafe in my world? Who's going to raise their hand? You're talking about safety. And I think what you just described is anxiety is a feeling of unsafe. Like, I don't feel safe where I am. I don't feel safe in my body. I don't feel safe in my environment. And you're selling safety, right? It's like you're saying, I'm going to give you the life preserver of life, right? It's like you give me the life preserver of life, so that, as you mentioned, several examples of, I started to feel a certain way, and I went back to something you taught me that helped me to like regulate where I am, so I could understand that I don't need to be fearful. It's okay. I am where I am. And I think that is like, you could sell that all day. Like, everyone wants to feel safe.
They do, but we've gotten confused away from the simple solution with all the labeling of the symptoms. It's taken us away. Look, when I explain this to people, they're like, you're right. Nervous system, I don't feel safe. That'll cause all the problems. Have you heard that?
No.
Have you heard that from any?
No. The way you broke it down as you were explaining, I was like, you know what? First you broke down, like, let's push anxiety over here, and let's talk about it being fear and doubt. And then you're like, but then what causes fear and doubt? And you broke down your 5. And I was like, okay, most people will probably be like, oh, I don't really have fear. I don't really have doubt. But then you broke down what that is. And most people would probably be like, yeah, I got one of those, or all of them. And then it's like, as we went further down the road, the true root cause was, I don't feel safe.
Well, yes. And the reason you don't feel safe is because daily you don't take care of yourself. That's really the root cause, is simple acts of unhealth. If you have weight gain, you could say the issue is the extra weight. No, that's not the issue. The issue is your daily dietary choices. This is the big breakthrough we're trying to tell people. The root cause of the problem is simple. It's just not knowing what to do every day.
Right.
That's the big breakthrough. It's not your past. It's not social media. It's not this. That stuff makes it worse. But the root cause is you to you every day. This is a new concept. They just discovered 100 years ago that cavities was from poor hygiene of the mouth. That's a new thing.
Right.
They figured out that sugar was breaking down to acid, eating up. Someone had to figure that out. And now we know. Florence Nightingale saw that more men were dying in recovery than on the battlefield. All the experts said, don't worry about it. It's just part of war. She was like, I do care about it. And she's the one that figured out basic care, hygiene, change the bandages, open the windows, and move the guys away from the toilets. The death rate dropped by 99%. Again, basic care, but that needs to be discovered. So we just discovered it was fear. And I know we've been talking for a while because I'm having such a great conversation with you, but can I do a quick exercise where you can feel this so it's not theory?
Sure.
All right. So there's the theory. The reason you feel fear is because you don't take care of yourself. It makes sense. It tracks. Don't take care of a system, you're going to have problems. That's the theory. But here, I'll prove it to you. Okay? We'll do a little role play. And in this role play, we're friends. Okay? And I'm talking to you, Kim, and I'm talking to your audience. Let's say we're friends. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to show you the mechanical link between care and safety. Okay? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we're friends, and for some reason, unbeknownst to you, I just used my fancy new word, unbeknownst. Unbeknownst to you, I start treating you really poorly. I'm mean to you. I'm critical of you. When you need me, I'm not there for you. I put everybody else ahead of you, and you get scraps. I know what you need, and I don't care. And in fact, I know what scares you, and I do what scares you. And when you really need me, I'm not there for you. And in fact, I criticize you and call you weak. If I treat you that way over time, are you going to feel safe or unsafe?
Unsafe.
Yep, mechanical. Because if you treat someone poorly, it breaks trust. If you don't have trust, you feel unsafe. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Simple, mechanical. So in this role play, we're in a friend relationship. But is it fair to say you're in a relationship with yourself?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you're not always a kind, gentle, loving friend to yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm not that person sometimes.
Right. Everybody knows it. Oh, yeah. I beat myself up all the time. People know that. They know they're afraid. What they didn't see is the direct mechanical link. Daily, that poor care from you to you breaks trust and leaves you feeling scared within your own body. It's you to you daily on the little acts that you didn't know were adding up. Here's another one. Deflecting compliments. Do you do this one or know people who deflect compliments?
All the time.
All the time. Did you know that when you deflect a compliment over time, that's leaving you feeling unsafe? Did you know that?
I've heard multiple people say, you're just basically pushing the good stuff away because you're not receiving a compliment.
Right. But we know it's not good. But did you know that when you don't do it, it's going to end up leading to fear in your nervous system? Did you know that?
No, not at all.
Here, I'll show it to you. And this is how easy it is. Again, let's say we're friends. Okay? And let's say somebody compliments you. Okay? And then let's say as I as your friend jump in and I say no. You get that appreciation away from her. She doesn't deserve it. You know what she deserves? It's a kick in the ass and criticism when she acts up. So you get that love and that acknowledgement away from them. You criticize her. If I did that, would you feel safe around me or unsafe?
Unsafe.
Yeah. So we found that there was 28 ways every day that people are unknowingly treating themselves poorly. The average person knows about 5: being critical, the deflecting compliments. There's also, not always speaking up or standing up for yourself. There's a couple things that people know. Yeah, I don't do it. What they don't know is that's building over time to break trust within yourself and leaving your system blown out. So here's the problem. If daily you are unknowingly treating your nervous system poorly 10 to 30 times a day, creating fear and unsafety in your body, and you don't know you're doing it, can you see then you'll never be free of the fear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible because each day you're reinforcing. You can't lose weight if every day you continue to have a crappy diet. You can't. It's impossible. So the downside is, until you learn how to daily take care of your nerve, and that's what we train you in the program in the 6 weeks, is you understand the daily habits necessary. It brings your nervous system back to health, and you basically have daily hygiene, which you have to do moving forward, brushing and flossing. Super basic. Nobody knows this. But can you see, if nobody knows how to take care of their nervous system, you are daily re-injuring it.
Yeah.
You'll never be free of the fear. But can you see, if you switch from little acts of unhealth to little acts of health, over time, that shift from unhealth to health, your nervous system could heal on its own and you could feel safe. Does that track?
It does track.
So is what we're sharing with the world too good to be true, or does it seem possible?
It seems completely possible. You know, I think the way you break it down, it makes you unpack all of the thoughts you had around anxiety, and now seeing it from kind of like this different lens, you're like, oh, yeah.
Right? Isn't it beautiful? You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not telling yourself that all this language was people just labeling the fact that you were never taught to take better care of yourself. And God, to get your attention, is creating the pain of fear, which then creates the pain of you not being the person you want to be. But it's very simple. You were just never taught to take care of yourself, and you're experiencing the symptoms. And it's sad, but you're not broken. In fact, there's something beautiful about this. God wants you to take care of you. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body is acting the way it was designed. If you don't take care of it, symptoms show up. God built that in to your body to make sure you take care of it. You're not broken. It's the opposite. You're perfect. You just weren't taught the thing necessary to bring your body back to health. So your pain of your anxiety, your fear, it's not a burden. It's a gift that God has given you as an opportunity to learn, there's one other system in the body I got to take care of, which is my feelings and nervous system. When you do that, you are free. I am free of this. And this is what we're selling, is real freedom. So even though what I'm saying makes total sense, even though you're in and you're like, take my credit card, most people aren't ready.
Right.
Most people are unconsciously attached to their fear and they don't want to let go of it. Most people, but about 1 in 1,000, for whatever reason, timing, pain, they are motivated to leave the fear behind and gain access to the person they want to be. So right. If you're listening to this, most people aren't ready. They are used to their patterns. They aren't ready to change. They think they're too broken. But if you're listening to this, if you have anxiety and it's holding you back and it makes life unfun and you have tips and tools to manage it, but you would like to be free of it so that you look forward to waking up to the day, you have more energy, more focus, you're not managing the fear, you're free of it, so you can be the person you want to be. We get people that every day. Come find us. If you have procrastination, it's holding you back and slowing you down, you got tips and tools to manage it, and you just like to be free of procrastination. So you wake up every morning and you just get stuff done from a place of purpose and joy and fulfillment, where not only are you nourished, but you're proud of yourself. And you want that to be the new you. We get people that every day. If you're a perfectionist and you're like, oh, I'm a recovering perfectionist. You're not a recovering perfectionist. It's still there. And you want to be free of it. I used to be a perfectionist. I don't care. I don't care if I make mistakes. Here, I'll make a mistake. How do I make a mistake? Okay. Make a mistake.
Okay.
There's my mistake.
Okay.
I tried to make a mistake and I couldn't make a mistake. I don't care.
Right.
I am beautifully lovable as is. If you want to be free of the perfectionism, so you can go out into the world and just be you, authentic, make mistakes, learn and grow and expand and be filled with the joy of change and not worry about the pressure of you better not mess up, so that you can just look forward to the day and bring more value to your life in the world. If you want that in 6 weeks, we can get you that. The people pleasing, gone. You will learn how to feel safe. You know how to put yourself first, make yourself a priority, put that oxygen mask on first so that you are happy, more fulfilled, and your heart is full. And then that overflow of your full heart then overflows to the people that you care about. We can get you that in 6 weeks, especially for low confidence. Everybody struggles with it in one form or another. You have tips and tools to manage it, but either way, it's slowing you down. You're not being fully you. You're holding back, and you will feel it because you're not as happy and fulfilled as you could be. That's God's little way of keeping away the good stuff. So if you'd like to feel safe and feel naturally open-hearted, authentic, confident, and free to be the best you, so you can bring that to the world and have more energy and have that be your default state. If you'd like to get that in 6 weeks, we can get you that and come find us. Things are really simple. My name's Daniel Packard. Just go to danielpackard.com, and there's 2 options. One is you can have a free next steps call where I learn more about you, and when I understand your situation better, I'll give you some quick actionable steps that you can take to start feeling safer and move you towards the life that you want. Or if you're being like, no, I want the system, man. I want to be free of this. And if it's no risk to try it, I'm all in. If you want to know more about the system, go to our website, danielpackard.com. There's basic info on the system, the cost, which trust me, is way less than you'd think, considering you get to be free of all this. There's testimonials you can see. And then if you're interested, book a free call with me. You get to hang out with me free. It's a real gift. And we'll see if the program is a good fit for you. You can ask questions. I won't let you do the program if I don't think it's going to work, because we don't want people to try and fail. It works for almost everybody, but I like to double check because we don't want you trying and failing. And then if you want to do the program, which again, no risk to try, you pay at the end when you have measurable results, you could start to feel safer and be free of one or multiples of the funky 5 within days from now. If that grabs your soul and spirit to the point where you're ready to take action, come to danielpackard.com.
And is there a place on the socials that they can find you as well?
With love and respect, Kim, there is. And I'm telling your audience, do not follow me on social media. I'm telling you, we've got the escape plan. Stop learning and following people. If you have a broken bone, you don't say, hey, thanks for the tips on the broken bone. Don't follow me. I told you. We built a 6-week system so you can get the hell out of here. You can go follow anybody for more insights and tips and tools. It doesn't work. Do not follow me. Take action and get the life that you really want to live quickly. For God's sake, stop following people and start living the life you want to live.
Go to his website if you want to feel safe and get rid of the fear and the doubt and people pleasing. Daniel, this has been a very eye-opening conversation. I'm really excited that we had it. And Magic Makers, if you're feeling any of the things that he said, and he's done a really good job of laying the foundation and painting the picture of where you could be, where you are, and really showing you the gap and how to get over that gap. I am like, this is just what I always want in a podcast. Like, give me the what, and then show me the path to the how. And he's giving you the path to the how. And Daniel, I am really excited that you have created this. And I think when many people, I know when many people hear your logic of how to get rid of anxiety, fear, doubt, and all of the things, I feel that this is going to be a mainstream thing, and it's no longer going to be a 10-day retreat to my inner child. Maybe that comes after, I don't know, but it definitely gives me that first big bite of a good sandwich before I start to find the dessert, if you will. So thank you.
Testify, and especially your audience, because the word magic sounds great and it sells lots of books. If you are scared, you ain't magical, girl. No. I'm telling you, it's impossible. I don't have any fear anymore. I feel safe. And I don't use the word magic. I live in magic every day because it's my default state. It's how kids live before they get terrified. Right. You see kids manifesting and expressive and joyful, and you don't say, ooh, that's magical. You're like, that's what a human operates at when they don't have fear. So it's not magic. It's a nice word, but remember that version of you at 4 years old before you got scared. You were magical. You were confident. You were open-hearted. You had hope. There wasn't doubt. That version of you, that magical version of you, is the kid version of you that's still in there. You just don't have access to it because you're scared. If we remove that fear, you become a child again, which is what I am. This is not cocaine, Kim. This is the natural, excited enthusiasm of
Right.
being a kid again, AKA living in magic. And because it's like fitness, fit girl magic. I'm talking to your audience. Pay attention to the signs. Learn how to be fit on the inside so you can live a magical life quickly.
This has been absolutely fabulous. And again, Magic Makers, if you felt any of the things that he's talked about, you can't do any, it won't hurt you, one, to just hop on a free call with him, or just head over to his website. And like he said, you can give it a shot for free, and you only pay on the end. And I've never heard of anyone ever doing that. So clearly it works. All right, Magic Makers, thank you so much for your time. Daniel, thank you so much for your time today. And as always, stay magical.